At first, I tried just holding her and rocking her to sleep. Hi guys, Sarah here. Welcome back to my channel. So as you guys can see, I'm wearing the same thing because I did decided to film 2 videos back to back. The last video in my breastfeeding series was already longer, so I decided to make it into 2 parts. And this video in particular is to share with you guys how to wean your baby from night feeding. Basically, I think this way is honestly the quickest way to night feed, and I think it can help this video can be helpful to a lot of moms who are struggling in the same situation. Mind you, there are also some things that can be tweaked here and there depending on your situation, but I'm going to go ahead and share mine. So if you guys didn't watch the first video, definitely check it out. I will have it here somewhere in the link above, which will share how I weaned my daughter in general. She was 20 months old and I weaned her after having nursed her that entire time solely without formula or anything in the midst of it. And I mean, I also had a breast reduction, so I didn't even know I was going to be able to do that. So I was very grateful for that, but there was a time where it had to come to an end and I accomplished it. Yay! So if you guys want to check that video out, definitely go ahead and check it out. The link should be there or in the description box below. But today's video is really going to share with you this about my experience with weaning her from night feeding, because I found this one to be the most crucial. It was very, very hard because she wanted to nurse. She didn't know any other way to go to bed without nursing. I didn't know any other way to do it. Mind you, I have 4 children. My 3 eldest I always breastfed, but 2 of them stopped nursing at 10 months all on their own, and my eldest was 25 months or 23 months when she stopped nursing, and it was a struggle, but we did it. That was my firstborn, and so like the memory is still kind of vague, but I just know it was a struggle because we were trying to wean her, and the doctor's like, she'll eat when she's hungry, and that was not the case. She was starving and I felt sad, and so I reverted and continued breastfeeding and had to struggle with weaning her on my own. But this time around, I feel so much more intuitive, and I don't know, it all feels new again. She was a chronic nurser, wanted to nurse all the time, always wanted me to nurse her to bed, and I did, but because we were weaning her, I had to try different things. At first, I tried just holding her, rocking her to sleep. Despite her eating at the appropriate times, right before I knew she was getting tired, I'd make sure I gave her milk, which she wasn't the biggest fan of, so in that case I'd end up giving her some yogurt. I'd make sure she ate, make sure she had enough water, just basically trying to keep her full, making sure her body was full before she was going to fall asleep. It's easier for babies to fall asleep when they're full, and obviously when they're nursing, that's what happens. They get full and then they fall asleep. So I always ensure that happened. Then I would try to rock her to sleep on my own. However, that did not work so well because she was close to me, she always smelled my milk, and it just didn't help. I read somewhere that they said that you shouldn't wear a lot of tank tops or things. You gotta stay covered up because this makes it so much harder for them. Mind you, it's summer. I'm weaning her in the summer, and so it was a little bit hard to continually be fully clothed when it's super hot. So half the time I was in a tank top, so that I already failed in that one, if that's the thing, which I think I know it kind of is, because not only do they see the boobies, but they also smell the milk. So that was a little difficult. So anyways, in my case, I tried that, it didn't work. I tried laying down beside her and kind of rocking her to sleep and singing lullabies. I whipped out my phone. My handy dandy phone was useful. I found lullabies on YouTube that some of them were visual, and at first the visual ones worked because there's this one that I looked that had just like clouds, and the clouds are just moving and rolling while they're playing like sweet gentle bedtime music, and it did work at times. I found that worked particularly during the day when she was taking a nap. I think that's where I got the advantage, is that during the day when she was taking naps, I was kind of training her then too. I would try not to nurse her for her to go to sleep, and that's what I would do. I put on the video and she'd be watching it, and eventually she would just knock right out. At nighttime now, I tried to do it a couple of times, and seldom did it work. there were a couple of nights when hubby and the kids, they noticed that I was struggling a little bit and I needed a little help. So they would just take her and they would rock her and she would fall asleep. And that's when I realized that I needed to utilize my support system even more, because they're all around me and I was just thinking I had to do it on my own. Meanwhile, they were all right there within reach. And that's what I ended up doing. Hubby would kind of pick her up and would rock her to sleep and it would work. And she's, you know, once she's out, she's out. And it worked. And that's how we kind of got her into the habit. Now, you know, at times he had to go to bed and because he has to go to work in the morning. So yeah, because of that, she would get into the habit of being rocked gently to sleep, and then she liked the motion. So I would do it too. And then after that, we kind of just transitioned. Like now it's been a while since she was getting boob to fall asleep. So her and I both know now that at that point we both knew that her baby and myself both knew that she could fall asleep without getting the boob. So eventually I transitioned her into laying into my bed and kind of putting her to sleep. Now that's another story because she still sleeps with us, and that's by choice. Her crib is back there, as you can see, and she also has a nursery which has her toddler bed set up, and it's her own bedroom and she's yet to sleep in there. So that's another thing. I know it's trial and error with things. Hubby is still kind of resistant to wanting her to sleep on her own, but we're starting to transition. Basically, I would lay her in our bed and just kind of pat her a little bit and put her to sleep. Sometimes I'd sing her favorite songs that she watches on like YouTube, and it would just help to put her to sleep. Overall, she learned really fast. Honestly, these days, if I were to just lay in bed with her when she's tired, you can tell when she's cranky or tired. You just lay with her and she's out in like 2 minutes flat, which is crazy. She doesn't struggle to fall asleep. She just rolls in her bed and goes to sleep. So I'm very grateful for that. Yeah, overall, the process has been good. I think the big struggles for me was just the fact that she didn't take a bottle. And so when it was time for bed, she didn't always drink milk. And I had to come up with different alternatives to keep her just on her toes in terms of, you know, curbing hunger, making sure she's full in order to help her get to sleep. A few things that were definitely helpful was just don't put a lot of stress on yourself. You try to do what you're doing, and if it's not working, you can improvise, but give it a shot and give it a try for a little bit. Don't just quit it because it didn't work the one time. Definitely stay positive in what you're doing. Think positive, and the less stress you feel, the less that babies can pick up on, because babies can feel that kind of stuff, even though they're not babies at 21. She's a full-blown toddler. But just, yeah, be mindful of how, you know, your stress levels pertain to what you're trying to do. Yeah, you're just trying to end weaning, and it's hard for you, the both of you. So the best thing to do is try to remain positive and optimistic, and remember the purpose of what you're doing. Like, it's just a sign of growth. They're growing a little bit, and they, you know, at this point when they're 20 months and they're nursing, it's not necessarily, I know that our breast milk still has a lot of antibodies, but it's not necessarily for a nutritional value, because at 20 months they're capable, these toddlers are very capable of eating a variety of foods outside of breast milk. And you know, though I am definitely an advocate for saying breast milk is definitely better to me, obviously, than cow's milk. It's all up to us when we decide to choose to do it. But I wanted to put this video out there because like the other one, I thought it could be very helpful to a mom that is trying to wean a baby and wean their toddler off, especially for night feeding, because that is the tough one. This is Sarah. Thank you for signing in and for checking out my breastfeeding series that I have here on YouTube. I'm not an expert by any means, but I have breastfed my 4 kids as well as had a reduction. And that said, I have come out to on both sides of the fence, being like a hardcore breastfeeding mom, and for that I definitely really love and want to share my experience with you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like this video. If you haven't checked out the last one, go over go ahead and check out my last video in the description box somewhere, either up there or down below, and look out for the next one. Much love, guys. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more videos. Stay tuned for my TTC updates. Bye, guys.